want to thank the community of Sandy Hook for supporting the veterans, and I know that there's always a question about how do we best celebrate and honor, and I think having the children here with their own personal favorite veterans is a great way to honor all the people who serve our country.
I think this has turned out, all the schools are doing something, have a special celebration today, so I think this is a wonderful program, and certainly we're going to honor the veterans.
In the cafeteria, near where Miss Hawksprung and Mr. Hart stood, students and invited veterans ate breakfast together, and one special visitor was also there.
We were in Afghanistan. We left last November, and we received letters from the Sandy Hook Elementary School, mostly 3rd and 4th graders, and we wrote them back, and we're planning on meeting the children when we arrive back. And we just arrived back from Afghanistan this November, and everybody's back home safe now.
Just last week, Sergeant Wagner stopped in at the school on a whim.
I'm still up at Fort Drum, New York, doing an out-processing procedure, and I saw the Sandy Hook sign on 84, and I said, oh, that's the school where the kids wrote us the letters. So I pulled off the road, and I found the elementary school, and Principal Dawn, she happened to be here, and I just came in and I wanted to thank her and her kids for writing us those letters, because it really meant a lot to us while we were over there in Afghanistan.
Brave, yep.
Individual classes honored Veterans Day in their own way at Reed Intermediate School. In Lil Martinson and Patrice Devano's 5th grade classes, students had also prepared for Veterans Day by reading America's White Table. As a special celebration, Reed head custodian Ron Patterson Sr. and Jesse Bailey Jr., an electrician for the Newtown Public Schools District, spoke to the combined classes.
You need all these elements. And there's one thing that all these things add up to. It's patriotism. To be patriotic and to love your country and be willing to stand up for your country and sacrifice sometimes 2 to 4 years and more. People sacrifice 20 years, 30 years for their country. And they do it because they believe in their country, and their country is the people. It's every one of you.
All the veterans to our school, we're humbled to be in your presence. Thank you for your service.
Each public school in Newtown celebrated the day in its own way. For instance, at Middlegate, a community circle was held in the afternoon and included songs performed by students. Hawley School held a school-wide ceremony inspired by America's White Table. And at Newtown High School, the auditorium was packed after a luncheon for 100 veterans. Here, NHS Assistant Principal Scott Clayton introduces the high school's 6th annual Veterans Day Assembly.
The arrival of Newtown's Chief Executive Officer, Mrs. Pat Locher. Your presence is greatly appreciated and adds to a special level of credibility of what we're trying to do here today. A very special thank you goes out to Mrs. Carrie Bennett, Assistant Principal's Office. This event could not have taken place without her help. Also, many thanks to Brian Newmeyer and the entire culinary program for this event.
The Newtown School Administration, Dr. Robinson, and particularly Mr. Clayton. Scott's actually been after me for several years to speak here, and ironically, I've been prevented from doing so because I was on active duty. What Veterans Day should mean to you, I'm going to start with a negative actually, and how you should celebrate it. Start with a negative. Please don't thank a vet unless you mean it. Thanking a vet for their service should not be a tagline. It's probably not PC to say this, it probably sounds a little ungrateful, but I cannot tell you the number of times, particularly in political context, where I've been berated for my whatever political stance was at the time, and then as an afterthought, perhaps as the speaker's sitting down, oh yes, and thank you for your service. That is not cutting it. That's starting with a negative. On the other hand, when it's heartfelt, it's very much appreciated. One of the biggest what I fought for moments for me, about a week after I got back, I took in a game at Fenway Park. And I grew up in Boston, and Fenway Park is something of a religious experience for me. I looked around at that park and I saw people enjoying themselves, and I really thought, this is what I went and fought for.
Mr. Clayton then asked all veterans to stand when they heard the Connecticut National Guard 102nd Army Band and NHS Wind Ensemble students play their branch's theme song.
U.S. Army.